I'm very, very happy to be here with you. It's a long story with Bjorn. I can't remember when was the first time we met, probably 2013 or something. For those of you who don't know me, I have, as Bjorn said, I have been involved in change since, I would say, 10 years, more or less. And I started my career accidentally, in fact, by sending an email. At that time, there was no other way. An email to the CEO of the company I was working at that time, Sanofi, big pharma company, and suggesting some changes. And that email, which was sort of a spontaneous reaction to a situation I felt was becoming unbearable, the lack of diversity in the company. And this spontaneous movement became, I mean, personal and individual move, planted the seeds of an employee movement from which I learned enormously about engagement, about social technologies, about the future of work, about how to create value from a diverse collective, how to make very, very different people actually build something together because they want to, okay? And that has become I have found my thing, you know, at that time. That has been my thing since then. And I have tried to implement that way of working to many different challenges, because I believe this is the way to go. The old top-down push approach is no longer valid. It's not adapted to the speed of change, to the flexibility and the movement we need now. And yeah, I believe we can do so much better than what we are doing now, okay? So then Bjorn asked me, to cut this long story short, I stayed 17 years at Sanofi, so a long time. I learned a lot. I had like great ups and a few downs as well, from which I have learned too a great deal. And for the last year, I have set up my own company. So it's the first time I have become I switched, I evolved from an intrapreneur to an entrepreneur. And I have been absolutely delighted for the last year and hope it will continue for a long time. So when Bjorn asked me to come and speak at IOM Summit, I said, of course, with pleasure. I'd love to. What do you want me to speak about? And he sent me that question, how to make change happen. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a huge question. So let me ask you, who in this room has the answer? Raise your hand. I was sure you would do that. No one can ever have the answer to such a huge question. It's impossible, because change is, I mean, there are millions and billions of contexts and possibilities, and it all depends. So, but I'm not going to tell you that it's impossible, because I have this task now to give you an answer, right? So I decided to make something a little bit funny. Well, this is a try, okay? If it's not funny, I will have failed, and that's it. But let's address this big question seriously. Change in a complex, large organization. How do we do that? Based on a true story. I will use my insights, my experience, what I have gone through, what I have witnessed, what is probably happening in many of your organizations as well. And we will draw some lessons from how change is usually done. So beware. There might be some sarcasm inside, okay? Don't take it literally. Not all my slides. So, let's start with initial assumptions. initial assumptions are there is resistance to change. People don't like change. They go through this curve. Okay, it's been taught in every change management course. So first people resist, and then there's chaos, and then there's, like, it's horrible. Basically, it's horrible, okay, for a long time before it gets better. And then a new change happens, and poof, people go back into this horrible situation. It's normal, okay? They have to live with it. And if you engineer change well, that's why engineering skills are so important to change, things will get well, okay? You will get your people go through this horrible, down curve in a smooth way without too much people being hurt, okay? Too much damages. So let's roll up our sleeves based on those assumptions and get to work. Few recommendations will follow now. So, first, make it a job. Make change a job, okay? Very important. So you create a change department, or you make it HR's job. After all, HR is people, change, change can be the job of HR, right? They're for that. But make sure that change is in a very clear perimeter, okay? So that the other departments can continue doing their work well, okay? Like the industrial operations can do good industrial operations while the change department is doing good change. Okay, very, very important. You can have a chief of IDs. That's a cool title for someone, like high potential people you want to reward and like on their way to the C-suite, so give shiny titles like that. It's really important to trigger large-scale change, okay? Think headcount, no, sorry, oh, no, that's not the right slide. So think transformation, sorry. Got it wrong. That was from another presentation. Think transformation together. Make sure you get really cool pictures from, stock photos where people like jump in the air together and slap their hands and smile, from one ear to the other, because that is really important for change, for collaboration spirit. It gives, it triggers a great mindset. Okay? So think transformation with a big T. You can have, the transformation office. Transformation office. That's a little bit linked to the previous slide, where you put really good thinking people, right? People thinking in the right way. You put them together and they think and they work at job cuts, transformation. Now, plan, and plan again, okay? You never spend enough time on planning, okay? If you plan for 3 years, then change can be done in 1 month. Sure, that's a sure recipe. And if you plan with very, very strong change management structures and procedures and processes, and if you have the right governance, and if it has, the right level of supervision, and if everything is planned from day 1 to day 680, then change will be for sure well engineered and well planned. Okay, so plan. Of course, digital. Yes, it's IOM Summit. Come on, I could not have I couldn't have avoided that. So declare digital change a priority. Of course, it's a priority, but don't bother using the social network, because that's for people with time to waste. Now, digital, if you can put the word digital in every other sentence, like in your PowerPoints and communication to investors, and if you can have like head of digital change, human digital resources, like if you put digital everywhere, so you will sound modern. Make change fun, because fun is what motivates people, right? So, yeah, I got a little drawing. No matter what the job, always try to make it fun. Yeah. You see, even in the most dramatic situations, remember when people go down the curve of change, you can still find opportunities for a good laugh. Okay? It's so important. So yeah, and if you're not funny enough, at least make it cool. Make it cool. You know, have pools, have like really cool, like put all your workers in the same room so you can save space and save money, but put some shiny, you know, kind of cool chairs, and so they can feel they're back in the kindergarten when time was fun. You know, there was not so much pressure. And if some of the naysayers still feel pressure, well, offer them some yoga courses so they feel better. You might see a little drop in your sick leave rate, depression, and so on. All these side effects of change. And if it still doesn't work, then you can hire a really handsome chief happiness officer. And I'm sure a lot of your change agents would apply for that job, so that you can keep them happy. You know, give them this title, chief happiness officer. Like what, you know, what the heck? It's gonna cost you 1 head count, but then you will feel better. And they will too, probably, right? Oh, another important recipe I learned from my long experience: teach feedback. Have a feedback training course for every manager, so that people can improve the way they work and behave thanks to the fact-based, unbiased opinion of their managers. Because managers are unbiased, of course. Right? And so if you have great feedback from your manager that tells you you suck at this or you're not good at that, then of course, what do? You change. Yeah, that's I respect my manager's opinion, and so of course I will evolve in the way he or she tells me I should evolve, right? Because we're all very rational. We're rational people. Another one I think is really important: blame the frozen middle. Oh my God, the frozen middle. I cannot believe they are standing in our way so much. I mean, the leaders have great ideas. The workers on the front line, they want to change. And who is blocking everything? Those in the middle. Yeah, unfortunately, they might be like 90% of the workforce. So that's not, it's like, come on, people, you're making things difficult. You know, in this room, I think like, maybe I want change, maybe those in the back, they want change, but what are you doing, you people in the middle? You know, why are you blocking that? Are you not trained enough? Are you not, like, what the heck? I can't change all of my workforce, but I would love to. But I can't. So, train the middle people, explain to them, have more, I don't know, more presentations, more workshops, more, and at some point, use feedback. Yeah, maybe that can change a little bit. Another idea, very much in use, is to conduct regular employee engagement surveys. This is a sure, method. And in addition, of course, organize regular focus groups to understand why the employee engagement survey results are bad again. So it's a cycle, you know, every 2 years. If you don't want to spend too much money, if you want to spend much money, do it every year. An employee engagement survey, followed by focus group to understand why it's bad. And then an employee engagement survey, and then focus groups. Ideally, don't take the same people to lead the focus groups, because they might get tired of that. You always try to use fresh people, new junior people, you know, who might think, oh, this is the opportunity to get like real, to actually achieve real change, because for once we will listen to people and act upon what they say. Okay, so always use fresh blood, okay, to lead those focus groups. As a manager, that's another recipe. As a manager, show tough love and expect casualties. So this one is funny but not funny, because I actually took those pictures in a conference, in a real conference, not so long ago, few weeks. And that person who was sharing his experience as a leader, important leader, explained how he drove change. And he drove change with many people, many employees. So he said, in case you cannot read, you need to care harder. You have to have tough love. You have to push the teams and drive them through tough, unpopular aspects of culture change. Yeah, isn't it a good recipe? Isn't it a good idea? Driving change, driving harder for the future is an emotional journey. The leader must stand strong with unwavering commitment, leading from the front to take people where they do not want to go. Brilliant, huh? Isn't it? I wonder how many people in his team committed suicide. Well, they're not here anymore to speak about it, right? So, and the other slide said, cultural change, expect casualties. If it so happens that you hang on to all your people, why would you do that? Frankly, that's so funny. It is a near miracle or a sure sign of bad management. You are not challenging the changes you require hard enough. Yeah. If you don't have casualties, that means your change is not good enough, not deep enough, right? Frankly, that's probably the best. Oh, that's my addition. All right, so I will. This is tough, right? It's horrible. Going through those recipes made me sick, actually. But yet, you can see it's coming from real life. I'm sure some of that resonates with you, even as not exaggerated. But I'm sure all of you have seen that kind of stuff in real life, right? And I believe there's another way. Like this time I'm serious. I removed the sarcasm sign to this slide. I think the other way, the other possible way is human change, humane change. It's change that puts people in the center. That is not people-centric, which is like a new mantra. I could have added that to the previous slides, or employee-centric, but that really, really considers how real people, how me, or you, and they are affected by the changes. And most of the time, we do not resist change. We actually, in our lives, we go through enormous changes. Sometimes wanted, sometimes unwanted, but we don't always go through this horrible curve, not at all. The problem is that we don't resist change. I mean, it's not a problem, it's a fact. We don't resist change. We resist change imposed on us. And one of my friends even said once, he said, we don't resist change, we resist bullshit. And I think it's quite true, frankly, right? So just to conclude very quickly, and I pulled that from another presentation, but I thought it was pretty relevant in this space. There are other ways, and it's just hints, but there's no recipe, of course. But those hints can include, and I would love to hear yours that can complement that, but they can include that kind of things. If there's a community of intention and performance, a community of intention that is linked to a collective betterment, change happens more readily, more lastly, more positively. When change is designed to, when work is designed to leverage the diversity of thoughts, then more people can find their space, more people can feel comfortable in the change. When there's a continuous involvement of users and employees, I mean, not just a few, not just 200 out of 10,000, change happens better and faster and is more sustainable. When it's powered by social tools, although with the limits we heard in the previous talk, which was very interesting, when it's powered by social tools, we plant the seeds for a more sustainable change as well, in the way that social tools enable, reinforce or power this sense of community. When we force ourselves to frequent collective sense-making, what are we doing? What is happening? How do we know? What do we make of that? How do we want to pursue? Do we want to change course? When we have this frequent sense-making exercise, then change is more sustainable. When there's transparent decision-making processes, there's a growth mindset in action. In action, like it's not about words, it's about doing the work differently. And when there's care and collaboration across levels and functions, then you see those collectives changing together. Thank you.